So here's the ARRIS Brushless Gimbal. I just received it in the mail today. I believe it shipped out on Friday via EMS, and it's now Wednesday. Comes in this box here, and I've already taken out the contents of the box, but inside you'll find a CD, the brushless gimbal, and Velcro battery strap. Now the CD is actually numbered, and I've already taken off the sticker, but there's a sticker on top of the top plate of the gimbal that also has a matching number. And on this CD there's various information for the gimbal. You'll find the user's manual, and they actually took a test video with the gimbal, so I'll pull up the test video real quick. You should be able to see on the top screen here. So you'll notice that on the test video they show the exact number, and then they do a brief test flight just to demonstrate the functioning gimbal. I thought that was very impressive to put as much attention to detail and time into processing each order and performing a test flight, balancing the gimbal. That really is a plus for me. Also on the CD is the drivers, I believe, and the software, and that's about it. The user's manual, it's a 7-page manual. I haven't read through the entire thing, but it looks like it covers the basics of using the software, tuning it, and installing the drivers. So everything was packaged pretty decently. I mean, these parts here were just set loosely in the box. However, this was in a small CD envelope. It was a little bit beat up. The surface is kind of scratched up, but disc works fine. It's no big deal. Now for the gimbal itself, I've removed the top plate just so that we can see the board here. And you'll notice that this also has a different pitch motor, and it looks to be larger than the one in the photographs online. It's roughly the same size as the one in the back, but they are not similar motors. They are different motors. The one in the back for the roll mechanism is unbranded, and this one here is branded as LD powered gimbal motor. Overall, the assembly is quite nice. The motors are nice and smooth. The wires are routed pretty well, with the exception of the interference between here and here. You've got a lot of travel on the motor, quite frankly. If you're banking sideways that much with the multicopter, you probably won't be using it for aerial photography unless you're getting some really fast sideways shots. But there's plenty of travel on here, and the pitch mechanism also has quite a bit of travel. It should be able to rotate at least 180, maybe 360 degrees around. The IMU is conveniently mounted right here beneath the pitch motor, and all these cables, they feel like a stranded wire with silicone sheathing on them, so they're quite flexible. I don't think you'll have any problems with them getting bent or damaged. The power plug uses a JST connector, and that either connects into your battery or you can wire it up to your power distribution. I believe it requires a 3-cell battery. And you have your pitch and roll gimbal outputs here, the stepper drivers or the motor drivers, and USB port, which is micro USB. The IMU is soldered to the side here. However, one thing I did notice, which is rather strange, is the third pin on this cable, and I believe this cable here is for manual control of the gimbal, is not soldered to the board. These two pins are, but this one is not, and instead it appears that they rerouted it from the Atmel processor back to here. So it looks kind of tacky, but I'm sure it works just fine. That might be something that's been fixed in more recent revisions of the board. On here it says that the board is by Martinez, but I'm not quite sure what version of the board it is. It doesn't appear to have a revision on it. Of course, it has these rubber dampers here. They have quite a bit of flexibility to them, and I'm sure they should work quite well. They're branded as Terret dampers. And other than that, my initial impressions are it looks pretty good. It feels nice and solid. All the The motor bearings are good. The carbon fiber pieces look like they're in pretty good shape. Most of the cuts are nice and clean. Some of the standoffs they appear to be of various different sizes, perhaps just miscellaneous hardware, but these all have both nylon nuts and bolts attached to mount the lower part to the top part of the frame, but you'll find that there's only 2 nuts securing the gimbal controller to the frame here. The top plate here, of course, just secures straight through these dampers on the 4 corners. And take a look at the measurements here. It's about 44 millimeters between these 2 slots. Each of the slots is 5 millimeters wide, and it's about 55 millimeters roughly from outer edges across here. I would imagine that if you're not using this with a Phantom, you could easily take some cable ties or zip ties, place them through here, and wrap them around, say if you have an X-Aircraft frame with 2 of the 60 millimeter space load pipes. Those would sit right across here, and you can wrap a cable tie through there and probably secure it quite well. It also has 6 of these mounting holes here. I of course do not have a Phantom, but I'm not quite sure what the intention of having those are. It could be something having to do with the Phantom. It looks like there's 40 millimeters of spacing between each of these, and then 20 millimeters between each of these, and from the outer side to the outer side it's another 40 millimeters. So in other words, this measurement here is 40 millimeters square. It's going to be 20 millimeters, so that's right in the center. And then this is set back by about 5 millimeters from the 2 front holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wire this up. I'm probably going to have to exchange this out for a different connector just so that I can hook it up to my power distribution, but once I have everything wired up, I'll throw the GoPro on there and hook it up to my frame and do a quick review of how it functions. Here's the